Squad. We have a whole bunch of empty lines. I haven't answered immigration questions live in 3+ weeks. Let's go to Bien in Alexandria, Virginia. Bien.
Yes, hello.
Hi, how are you, Bien?
Yeah, I'm good, Mr. Brad. I have a couple of questions.
Sure, go ahead.
My husband has filed for me and my daughters. My daughters are here first on F1 visa, and they've been to the boarding school. And by the time we applied for our adjustment of status, their address was the school. Now that they're no longer be in the school, should we change their address?
Absolutely. So what you're saying, let me just understand, so because it was a little hard to hear. So what you were saying is you came on an H-1B visa with your husband, and I guess he got sponsored in a job, and he's now, your guys as a family are adjusting your status, but your children went to boarding school, so you put their addresses at the boarding school, but they're done with boarding school. Yeah, so you should change their addresses back to your home.
Yeah, but it says the mailing address. Their mailing address is our address here.
Yes, yes. That way, for sure, they get it. So I would move both of your children's addresses back to your home, and as a family, you all live there. Even if they go to school somewhere else, their mailing address is still your home.
So if that's the case, we don't have to change the address?
If the children's mailing address is your home, that is their address. You may want to do an AR-11 and say their primary address is now your home as well.
Okay, so we should change. We should let them know that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because you don't want anything to go to the school. They're not there anymore.
Yeah. Even though they stay at the school, their address was my address through me to their home.
Yes.
So we don't have to change anything now.
I'm confused in what you're asking. They go to a school, you have a home. Their permanent address is not the school. They're there on a temporary basis while they're in school. My daughter goes to boarding school. Okay, I'll give you a perfect example. My daughter is a senior. She goes to a boarding school. Her permanent address is my apartment in New York City. So that's her permanent address as well as her mailing address.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
But in our case, their physical address is the boarding school, but their mailing address is their home.
I understand that, but don't they come to your home during school breaks?
Yes. In fact,
their permanent address actually is not the boarding school. Their permanent address is your home. Their temporary address is the boarding school. That's really how I would look at it.
Yes, they dropped the boarding school and they started to go to another school. So
okay, so that's not their permanent address. Their permanent address is your home. They go temporarily to a boarding school. Their mailing address is your home. So to answer your question, mailing address, permanent address, all addresses, however you want to describe it, your home.
Your home.
Okay?
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Next question.
Oh, more. Okay.
My next question is, my daughter, I have received mine and my younger daughter's fingerprint, but I didn't receive my older daughter's fingerprint. It's been 2 months since we got ours, and
I would call up the 1-800 number and see if they scheduled a fingerprint and maybe it got lost. That would be the first thing I would do.
Okay.
Okay.
And the last question is, me and my husband got married. We had our previous marriage and children. Is a post-nuptial agreement be considered as a negative point to our financial relationship, to the immigration purpose? I want to clear.
You have a post-nuptial agreement. You don't have to you don't have to show that to immigration.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, okay.
All right. Good.
Okay. All right.
All right. If you need more help, hold on one second. Let's go to Morali in Morristown, New Jersey. Morali.
Hi, Brad.
Hi, how are you?
Very nice to talk to you. Hi, I'm good. I've seen your show only today, and then I'm very glad to actually be on your show again.
Welcome. This is the first time. The first time you've watched my show is today.
Yes, today afternoon, late afternoon, and then I was waiting for this evening, and then
You watched a taped show from a different day, and here you are.
Different day.
This is your first live experience on Bradshaw Live, and on your first live experience, you called into the show. Very, very,
Yes.
very brave of you, Murali. What can I help? What can I do to help you?
Yeah, thank you. Actually, I tried to put it on the Facebook chat as well, so I don't know how to use this. But again, I put this on the chat as well. It's a paragraph.
Mm-hmm.
If you have access, it's easy. Otherwise, I can read it out.
Murali, what's your question?
Okay. Joined wife on L2 along with daughter, but wife entered unprovoked TRO, which resulted in FRO.
Wait. The wife, you're on an L2 visa.
Yes.
Who's the L1? You or your wife?
Wife.
Wife is the L1, you're the L2. Children are L2. Wife came a year ago, and what happened?
Soon after coming, the same month, actually, unprovokingly, she has put a TRO.
Okay, so you have a temporary restraining order against
which
you.
went on. Yeah, correct. Which went on default.
Were you arrested for any domestic violence?
No.
Okay. All right. So what's going on with you and your wife now?
Okay. Then actually, I'm reading since still actually. Denied getting EAD thereafter when I applied, and then change of status to F1 status also denied because there is a non-cooperation on the documents which we needed to give it to USCIS. Now.
So you're out of status now.
Yeah. So because of that, that didn't happen at the time. But again, started accepting minimum wages on social because I could get the social. And
but you're working without authorization, so you're out of status.
Without authorization.
Yes, you are out of status.
Then court granted divorce and custody of child.
And by the way, and also once you're divorced, you're out of status too. Okay, so you got problems, Murali.
And then applied for B1.
You can't. You're out of status. You already violated your status. There is no change of status anymore.
Yeah, applied.
But you can't. But you're now lying. Murali,
Okay.
We will have, within 24 hours of this show, somewhere between 5,000 to 10,000 people who will watch this show. Okay. You have now told 5,000 to 10,000 people that you committed fraud on the government because you lied about working when you weren't. I would, if I were you, zip it and have a consultation. Hold on. Let's go to Davis in Allentown, Pennsylvania. Davis.
Hey, Brad. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I just had a quick question. This is not really a personal question, just kind of a type of thing. We noticed that immigrant celebrities who are very high-status people, I don't want to name any names, but people from Canada who become very famous and make songs like Baby, they often run into trouble with the law. And I recently read that a certain celebrity was going to apply for citizenship after shortly getting married. And I wanted to know...
Are you talking about Justin Bieber?
Yes.
Okay.
So if the same rule applies to... The
same rule applies to celebrities as it does to anybody else. The only difference is if celebrities are barred, and I don't remember, Justin Bieber I know got arrested or something, but first of all, he has to apply for a green card first. He has to apply for a waiver of that green card based on hardship to his spouse. But ultimately, the same laws apply. Now, you will find celebrities who have committed very serious offenses, and then you say, wait a second, how are they touring in the United States of America? I'll give you a perfect example there. Buju Banton, before he went to jail 15 years ago, okay, he had multiple convictions for, he was a reggae artist from Jamaica. He had multiple convictions for drugs from Jamaica that would bar almost anybody else from ever entering one foot into America. But for a non-immigrant work visa, if you can show that the benefit to the United States outweighs the reason to deny entry, then you can overcome the drug offense and still be able to get a visa with a waiver. And obviously he won Grammy Awards, so I guess whoever his lawyer was able to show the benefit to the United States outweighs whatever his offense is. That's where you see celebrities being able to travel. But Justin Bieber getting a green card, I don't know what his offenses are, but it's the same laws for everybody.
DUI, drug possession.
Well, if he has if he has a drug possession, he's not getting a green card, no matter what you read in the newspaper.
Okay.
All right.
Because that, I'm only saying this and asking because I successfully went through the immigration process.
Right.
And it was very difficult and really having to uphold the good moral character. It's unfair.
Does Justin Bieber actually, does he actually have a drug offense? Because if he has a conviction for a drug offense, unless it's 30 grams or less of marijuana, he's not getting a green card. Now, that doesn't mean he can't get a work visa to come here and do the waiver and show the benefit to the United States outweighs the offense and come here on temporary work visas. But to get a green card and live here or become a citizen, no way. I don't know but I don't know what his criminal record is off the top of my head.
All right. Thank you so much. I just wanted to ask because it just seems unfair sometimes,
Well,
thank you.
Okay, you're very welcome. Thanks for calling.
All right.
All right. Jill is looking up Justin Bieber's criminal records. We'll see what he has. Rocky in Whitestone, New York. Rocky.
Hi, Brad.
How are
This
you?
is Rocky. Yeah, I'm good. I have a simple question. Hello?
I'm listening. It's simple. I didn't say anything. If it's so simple, out with it.
Sorry,
Okay.
my bad. I applied for VAWA,
Uh-huh.
and it was approved.
Right.
Now I'm waiting for I-45. It's been like 2 months now. In that case, it's mentioned there the office has jurisdiction on your case, when to know, something like that. So what it has happened and what's going on in my case, I just want to know,
All right. You mumbled the last part. You got the VAWA approved, and your adjustment is pending, and you got a letter saying what?
Jurisdiction.
Jurisdiction? What does it say?
Jurisdiction, Juris.
Yeah. What about your jurisdiction? Means place. It's a place. Yeah. Who has authority? What area has authority to adjudicate your case? So what does it say? The jurisdiction is with what? What does it say about jurisdiction?
I-485. That's what. So how long is going to take? I just want to a little bit know about it. This one.
And you're asking me, that's the simple question. Your simple question is, when will I get a green card?
Yes, sir.
It's not so simple. I don't know when you're going to get a green card. But I can tell you if your I-360 is approved, they should, within about a year, give or take a couple months one way or the other, and depending on what area of the United States you're in, what happens with the pandemic, does immigration open, does it close? But a good guess, and it's an absolute guess, I have no idea, but a good guess is 1 year from the time of the approval of the I-360.
Okay.
All right?
And one more thing, sorry, I forget this. There's anything which I have to worry about it in these cases? An I-485,
when your I-360 is approved, I don't know about worry, but what's going to happen is you're going to get an interview. And at that interview, they may question you about the evidence or your statements that you submitted on behalf of your I-360 to get it approved, to make sure what you're saying was truthful. There was no fraud. They may also ask you questions about your entry. They may ask you questions that are all determined to determine whether or not you're admissible to the United States. Do you have a criminal record? Have you ever lied to the government? All the things. There's a list on the I-485. It's page after page after page. Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. Have you ever done this? Yes or no. Have you ever done this? Yes or no. And it's page after page after page. Those are all things that would make you inadmissible if you answer yes or no, depending on what the question was. So they're going to ask you about all that stuff, and if there's anything in your background or history or skeletons in your background, yeah, expect to be asked it.
Okay.
All right?
Have anything, they're not going to ask me that question.
I'm sorry?
If I don't have any kind of criminal record, so they're not going to ask me any question like that.
Well, they could say, have you ever been arrested? You'll say no.
Okay.
Okay? They can ask
Thank
you
you.
whatever they want, but you'll just say no. And they'll be like, give me the record. And we're like, there is no record. And we move on. Okay?
Yeah, thank you.
All right. All right. Good luck.
Bye-bye.
All right. Let's go to Damien in Irvington, New Jersey. Damien.
Good evening, sir.
Hi. How are you?
Thank you for bringing me on your show. It's an honor to be talking to you, sir.
Thank you.
I just have one quick question. Right,
Yeah.
I received my EAD card today and a social security number.
Mm-hmm.
Right, I'm just concerned. Like, can I open a bank account with it?
Yep.
Can I get a driver's license?
Yes.
Or is it only for working?
Nope. You can open up a bank account. You can get a driver's license.
Okay, so when the DMV see that it says only for work authorization, they won't have an issue with it.
They will not have an issue with it.
Okay. Thank you very
All right.
much.
All right. You're very welcome.
Yes.
All right. Let's go to Kim in Norfolk, Virginia. Kim.
Hi, Brad.
Hi.
Good
How are you?
evening.
How you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. I have two questions. First question is, I have a friend who will be putting in his 10-year green card based off a marriage. However, normally they approve the spouse and then they approve the children. When he's putting in for the 10-year, seeing that his son migrated from Jamaica 3 months after, does he put in for both of them at the same time, or does he do his?
He puts his sons on his, because his son entered within 6 months of him getting his green card. They're all on
Correct.
one application.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So the second question is, his mother was also filing for him in Canada. So since March, his son is in Canada. Is he allowed to do that? Like, can they do?
You can't be a landed resident in Canada and a permanent green card holder in the United States, because a landed resident in Canada says I'm permanently living in Canada, and a green card holder in the United States says I'm permanently living in the United States. And I'll tell you, no matter how you divide up the pie, you can't be permanently living in two different countries at the same exact time. So you got to pick a country.
So,
Once he's a citizen, you can be a citizen of the United States and be landed in Canada if that's where you're permanently living, but you can't have permanent residence to two different countries at the same time.
Okay, so pretty much if he were to send it in now for his son, it would be a waste of money since he's been out of the country since March?
No, it would be a waste of money if the son doesn't intend to keep his green card and stay in Canada forever.
I think he's going to stay over there, but we just wanted to know, seeing that the dad is supposed to do his now.
Put the son's name on it anyway.
Okay.
All right?
All right. Thank you so much.
Okay. Let's go to Tamara in Jamaica. Tamara.
Hi, Brad.
Hi, how are you? How you doing?
I have a question, actually two. If someone gets a green card package to do the 2-year green card, but they were picked up and they're saying that they're illegal in the country, does the package give you a say in the U.S.?
What you're asking is, if somebody files an adjustment of status, does that make them legal in the United States to not be put in deportation? No. That does not prevent them from being put in deportation. However, with a good lawyer, if you have a pending adjustment of status, you can request the immigration judge to adjust your status before him or her, and get your green card through at the time of the hearing for the deportation. But it doesn't, in other words, it doesn't prevent you from being put in deportation, but it could prevent you from actually being physically deported. That's my answer.
Okay.
Okay?
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. That's my answer. I didn't say it right the first time. Well, I did say it right, but I said it more succinctly better the second time. Rona.
Hello.
How are you, Rona, in Rockville, Maryland?
Hi, Brad. How are you?
Good, good. What's going on?
I called you several times before, and I want to ask about this thing. My sister is in Jamaica and she died.
She just recently died.
Oh, I'm sorry.
My mother had filed for her on her little younger daughter. So now that she does come.
I'm sorry?
Can my sister...
How old is she?
She's 12.
Okay. Where is the father?
Somewhere around the place there.
All right, so basically the father kind of is not really in the picture.
No.
Okay. So first of all, my condolences. I'm very sorry to hear that. She can't complete the case that she did for the daughter who deceased, for her grandchild. But what she can do if she's a U.S. citizen is she can file an orphan petition for this child in Jamaica. Now, as part of the orphan petition, there is a parent who is alive, the father. The mother passed. So you have to strip the father of his parental rights. So someone has to go into court in Jamaica and strip the father of his rights. You can't get don't get the father to consent to an adoption, because then that's not stripping the father of his rights, then the child's not an orphan. You have to go into a court in Jamaica and have the father, he's not a good father, he's abandoned this child, the mother's passed away, we rule this child an orphan. At the same time, you're in Rockville, Maryland. I assume that's where everybody is. You would go into...
No, my mother's in New York.
Oh, okay, fine. So your mother would go, she can hire us, she's in New York, she can hire us if she chooses. We would take her into Supreme Court and do what's called a pre-adoption. A pre-adoption is, we say to a judge in New York, Judge, we have this orphan in Jamaica. We have an American citizen grandmother here. Grandma wants to adopt her orphan grandchild and bring her to America and do the adoption here in America. Look at all the paperwork. If we bring this child into the courtroom, will you sign an adoption? And it's called the pre-adoption. The judge will say yes. I'm not saying it in the legalese term, but I'm saying it in just regular English. The judge will sign something that says yes. When the child comes to my courtroom, I'll sign an adoption. That's a pre-adoption. And you file a pre-adoption with an order from the Jamaican court showing that this child's an orphan, with an I-600 application, which is the orphan petition with immigration, and that brings the child up. So yes, but we would have to do a different process to get the child here.
I suppose I'm the one who wanted to adopt the child.
That's fine too, so then you would do it in Maryland.
Okay. So what happened to the money my sister pays? She had to pay for her visa and stuff like that, but she died.
Yeah, so then all that money is gone, unfortunately. We got to start a new process to bring the child here.
Oh, okay.
All right? Hold on if you need help. Let's go to Lena in Greenbelt, Maryland. Lena.
Hi, Uncle Brad.
Hi, how are you?
Yeah, I have a question for a friend. She's filing for VAWA because the husband moved out and she's been going through a lot of, abuse. The husband left the house for like 3 months. Then she said the husband came back while she's still filing for VAWA. So her question is, can she move out, or is
why did she let the husband back in the home?
The husband, I don't know. She said the husband came.
She should go to. Well, she has two choices. She can move out if she chooses, or she can go to family court and get an order of protection and getting kicked out of the house. It's one or the other.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So, but if she moves, make sure she does an AR-11 with immigration. So they change her address, because other than that, all the mail's going to go to the home where she left the husband, who's going to take it and rip it up, and she won't know anything.
Okay, and she can't stay in there and fire while the husband is still there, right?
Yeah, but why would you want to do that? He's an abusive husband.
Exactly. Okay.
Right. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Uncle Brad.
Let's go to Lennox in Charlotte, North Carolina. Lennox.
Hey, Brad. Thank you so much for taking my call, man. Big up to you. Big up to the squad. Thank you for all you do. All right. Well, I spoke to you some time ago, Brad, and about me making the transition from a green card holder to a citizen, but I got past convictions. I told you, I had 2 domestic violence misdemeanors, 2003 and 2007. Yeah, but I did my green card and I got it back last year. And everything. But I finally stood up and said, okay, I'm going to go for my citizenship, and I did. I submitted it 2 months ago, and I just want to ask you, because believe me, you do the best. You are the best at this. What exactly do I need to expect at that interview? And then secondly, what's the worst that could happen?
What's the worst that could happen is you could get deported. Just because they passed on putting you in deportation when you renewed your green card doesn't mean you're safe. Every time they look at your application, it's a different officer, a different time, and they make a determination whether or not to put you in deportation. And that determination is really based on, they look at all of your records in totality, and they say, is this a person that we can, if we put in deportation, would the government win the deportation case and get him physically out of the U.S.? Because if they feel they can, they'll put you in deportation. If they feel they can't, that even though you may have committed 2 offenses that are deportable, the reality is that if you got put in removal because of your long history here and rehabilitation and hardship to your family and whatever else, would go into you winning your deportation case, they would look at it and realistically say, this guy's not going anywhere. There's no way in the world we're going to get him physically deported. Why would we waste our resources and our time and effort to bring him through an entire process just for him to win his case? At that point, they would most likely make you a citizen. So that's the analysis that goes into whether you become a citizen or the government puts you in deportation. Now, when you went to renew your green card, they made an analysis. An officer at that moment said, we're not going to put him in deportation. We're going to give him back his green card. Whatever that analysis was, they felt that at that point, either they didn't have the resources, the time, or they thought they had a weak case to deport you. They're going to re-look at it all again. That's what's going to happen. Whenever you have a criminal record and you go to do your citizenship, or whenever you go to renew your green card, or even travel outside the United States and come back, that analysis is being done by immigration every time they take a look at you.
Okay. And another question, Brad. For both incidents, it was 6 months, but 178 days suspended. I ended up spending 2 months. Spending 2 months, 2 days.
Right. Now, I will say, if it's a domestic violence offense and it goes by the facts, in other words, there was an incident and it was a family member and there was violence involved and that's what you pled guilty to, domestic violence is a deportable offense and you have 2 of them. Does that mean you're going to get deported? No, not necessarily. I'm just saying, when you ask me what's the worst that could happen, I told you the worst.
Right.
That doesn't mean I don't want you to. I don't want you to get off the phone with me now and say, "Oh my." Yeah, right. I don't want you. I don't want you to get nervous and be like, "Oh my God, I'm going to get deported." Holy shit!
Right.
I didn't say that word. I was about to. Holy, you know what? Brad scared the hell out of me. I'm not saying that's going to happen. All I was saying when you asked me what's the worst that could happen, that is the worst that could happen.
Right, you were honest enough. Yes.
So,
so I think the GMC period.
The good walk.
13 years.
Okay, so right.
Kids.
So what the law says is this. The law says if you have 5 years. The law says if you have 5 years good moral character, and you are. And you don't have any aggravated felonies, and it sounds like neither of these convictions are aggravated felonies, you're entitled to become a citizen. And the only way that they could deny your citizenship is put you in removal.
Okay.
So
but the GMC period, that speaks a lot. I got 2 kids from this marriage that I've been paying child support for 11 years.
The bottom line is this: if you made one error, I will tell you the error you made, which is when you told me you got the courage up to do it. Okay, but just because you got the courage up to do it doesn't mean you do it without knowledge of what you're doing. So I think if you made a mistake, and I don't know if you made a mistake, you may very well become a citizen. I have no idea. But if you made a mistake, it was, I'm going to do it without the full knowledge of knowing what I'm doing, and then I'm going to call Brad after the fact and ask him, like, what's the worst thing that could happen? This conversation we're having should have happened before you filed, and then we should have had it in a consultation. I think you should still have one, all right? So hold on one second.
Okay.
All right, let's go to Desmond in Dallas, Texas. Desmond.
Hi, Brad, good work. I want to thank you for the good jobs you're doing.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Yes, I'm gonna put in my paper for application for I-751, but I have some concerns, which is the fact that I have my tax transcript. I want to know if I would need to put tax returns as well, and also I want to ask if I have to include my marriage certificate and my past divorce certificate, and also my wife's name is not on the lease agreement, but I go with the apartment office. And then they gave me a paper, they gave me a letter kind of acknowledging that my wife lives with me. And the reason her name is not on the list is because she has a felon.
Okay. All right. So to my answer to everything is yes, yes, and yes. Now let me go back. Okay. When you are filing your I-751 with your wife, with your spouse to remove the conditions, there's only one thing you need to prove. One thing and one thing only.
Okay.
Which is, am I in a bona fide marriage with my spouse? It's the only thing you need to prove. You don't need to prove nothing else. Am I in a bona fide marriage with my spouse? And if anybody, and I know lots of you who have, watched Bradshaw Live for the last 3 years, we know what a bona fide marriage is. You physically live together, you have a financial relationship with your spouse. So
yes,
when you do your taxes, you do your taxes jointly. What does a joint tax return demonstrate to immigration? It demonstrates that you commingle your income and you are both responsible for the debts of your marriage, including tax debt. When you show a lease, it shows you're living together, but if you can't show her on the lease, at least you have a letter from the landlord saying they know she's living in the apartment.
Right.
Okay. What was your third question? I forgot. It was taxes, lease, and there was one else. I said yes. I said yes to everything, though.
The first question was, I have tax transcript, but do I need to include tax return as well?
Yes. Well, the tax transcripts should be sufficient to show you're filing a joint tax return, so you don't need the return. The second question.
The second question was, I got the divorce. I divorced my ex-wife.
Yes, you got to show all that stuff again. Correct. The marriages and the divorces and everything. And lastly, the lease. All right, so I answered all your questions. Hold on if you need help. All right. Maria in Hollywood, Florida. Maria.
Hi, Brad. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, good. I have two questions, actually. The first one is that I entered in United States in 2015 with my two kids. The one is 14 years old and the other one is 12 years old. Can I apply DACA for them?
Not at the moment, no, unless they're already part of DACA. They're not accepting new DACA applications.
Okay, and another question. I have one more kid who was born here, and can I apply something, like on a behalf of her? I'm taking care of the U.S. citizen child born.
Well, let me put it to you this way. If it was easy to get a green card because you gave birth here, everybody would be getting knocked up. I'm not saying you got knocked up, but everybody would be like, well, I'm going to have a baby. Okay, so so they don't do that. They don't allow you just because you have a baby here. That doesn't mean, okay, now all of a sudden you get a green card, because then all of a sudden we'd have a lot of pregnant women. So instead, what they say is when the child reaches 21. So you have a long way to go if you just gave birth or you have a baby or an infant. Now, what the law also says is, God forbid you get put in deportation and you're here out of status, and you've been here for more than 10 years, and you could show a hardship to your U.S. citizen child, then they would suspend your deportation and give you a green card. It's called cancellation of removal. But I'm not going to suggest that you go try to put yourself in deportation if, in fact, you've been here for 10 years, and give that theory a try, because if you lose, you get deported. Just know that that's the God forbid you get put in deportation. That's how you get out of it. if you've been here for that long. That's how you use a child to get out of it. All right?
Okay, so I don't have anything to apply for.
Not at the moment, unless you want to marry the father of the child, if he's a citizen.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much.
All right, sorry about that, Marie. Okay. Thanks for watching. For more Brad Show Live, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.